Cool. 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brews and Bruins. We're gonna have a quick part 1, part 2 episode here. So the next episode you listen to will just start right in the middle somewhere, and that will be great. I'm here, Drew Johnson, here with Chris Gear and Nick Lanciani. How are you fellas doing?
Pretty well. How about yourself?
Doing good. Do we want to waste time on beer or
Yeah, let's fucking do it.
Yeah, I'll go first because, why not? I have another Harpoon IPA because I'm trying to get rid of the last beer or two in the fridge before I start the next new 8 to 12 beers. I forget how many we bought the other day, but I have some Laser Cat in the fridge now and Novocaine for future episodes, but I'm trying to get rid of what we still have from Christmas. So 37s all around as always. And next beer is going to be even better because it'll be fresher.
Awesome.
I got Pacifico.
I
Drinkability, 37. Insert space for post-production there. Tasteability, 12.
Nice.
Chuck Kobasu or Jerome McGinley or Thomas Caberlet or wait, I could do this all day.
I got another.
Craig Smith.
I mean, there's that too. I was going for legends, okay, not the most handsome man on the face of the planet.
I have 60-minute IPA from Dogfish Head. I've had it a few, the past 3 episodes in a row. Look at my ratings there. Anyway, the Hockey Podcast Network podcast, presented by Bruins Diehards and Pride Diehards, sponsored by DraftKings. At some point you'll hear a very mistimed ad read from Future Drew. So shouts to Future Drew. What do we want to talk about, fellas? Because I feel like me and Chris have kind of said our piece about the end of this season, and Lancey hasn't really got a crack on it on Brews and Bruins yet. So maybe start there, Lancey.
Oh, well, I mean, it's over. So there's that.
That's fun.
As I kind of expected. I'm not here to brag or take a victory lap or anything, but the team turned out to be kind of exactly what we thought they were. Not good enough.
They are who we thought they were.
And
R.I.P. Denny Green.
And it might just be me being very on the fence about things. I don't think that you should rush to fire Don Sweeney. For sure, you shouldn't rush to fire Bruce Cassidy at this point. Bruce isn't the problem. Some of Sweeney's moves may or may not have been the problem, but I just look at this year and as a whole and just compare it a lot to 2018, where they made a big splash at the deadline and you're waiting for that second move, and they didn't do that. And is that the difference maker ultimately? Possibly. I think there's a little bit more to it than just that one thing, which is why I go with Don Sweeney for one more year. And this is really the sink or swim moment in time, given that they will be entering a transition from the Patrice Bergeron era into the post Patrice Bergeron era. Not saying whether or not Bergeron comes back or retires. I'm simply saying we have to acknowledge that he is of age where at some point he might move him down to the second line, and then you start saying, okay, it's really Pasta and McAvoy's and Swayman's team now. So, will Sweeney be there for that part of the transition remains to be seen.
Oh,
yes, that's kind of my off-season outlook overall.
Is that Jess Belmosto's music?
It is.
I'm trying to bring her into the immersive view. Hold on. There we go. I had to change it to 4 people. Anyway, podcast side, this is normal still. Oh no, why does it do it like this? Okay.
This is incredible.
Just get to admire.
I thought
Perry.
it would get us all in a row.
This is
Start
way
this
better.
immersive view.
Oh my god.
Very on
if this is something that people have thought further into, Don Sweeney, he's not a great GM. He's not a bad GM, but I don't really know what other options there
Bingo.
are that the Bruins are going to consider.
Do you trust
Me.
management to hire somebody better than Don Sweeney? And that is
No,
something that
I don't.
I am easily able to answer
No.
for myself.
And for
that
a
is
little
no.
follow-up, when people say, oh, fire Cam Neely, Neely just deals with a lot of, the marketing and such as team president. He's been doing a fantastic job. His job is safe. It would be
It's
a general
not-
manager move if you're going to do anything.
I don't even think like what's out there right now is worth even trying to make a move. I think it's better to do like this year or two thing and hope that, I don't know, someone is smart enough to hire a woman, but I don't think that's happening.
In this economy,
Literally. Listen, we won't take as much of a salary, right? Do it for the wage gap. Just kidding. Please don't cancel me for that.
yeah, we're gonna clip that and make
Hey,
that
women,
the cold open.
Please. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what this off season brings in terms of roster moves, but also internal moves, because it kind of sounds like a good old Butch is on the chopping block.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if Sweeney feels like his job is unsafe, then the move would be to get rid of Butch. I don't think Sweeney thinks his job is unsafe. So I think, I don't know. There were words said in the press conferences that maybe could be interpreted that Bruce is heading out the door, but I think it also sounded like everyone was on the same page of like, yeah, this isn't how we wanted the season to go, and maybe we need to switch things up a little bit in terms of philosophy, maybe not in terms of personnel in the front office and behind the bench.
I mean, I look at things and I say, just when 2015, 2016, as they went from Chiarelli to Sweeney, they missed the playoffs and they fire Chiarelli, hire Sweeney. They missed the playoffs in Sweeney's first year. They still have Claude Julien, but the leash got a bit shorter. They make the playoffs in 2017, albeit because they fired Claude Julien in February and they hired Bruce Cassidy then as interim and then full time. So it's kind of one of those scenarios where you look at the New York Islanders and Lou Lamoriello had Barry Trotz until they missed the playoffs. You might say, but it's only one season. I mean, what are you doing? But it's today's NHL where they acknowledge whether or not it's mostly Lou Lamoriello's fault, something was amiss here. And now you have proof that you can say, well, you missed the playoffs and that's not good enough. And it's kind of like more of a Major League Baseball sort of thing to do. I think of how many managers the Red Sox have gone through when you're worst to first and then, now you're out the door and we're on to the next person.
You tell me Bobby Valentine wasn't the solution to the problem?
Absolutely not.
No.
I'm glad you mentioned Trotz, though, before you jump in, Jess, because I feel like a lot of people are going to say, hey, if there's somebody on the market like Barry Trotz, like that's someone where you go out and
not.
get him. And that's kind of like putting, damn it, Drew. That's really putting a hat on a hat where you're adding someone whose biggest strength is cultivating a defensive system that benefits goaltenders. And really what Bruce Cassidy already does is cultivates a system that defensively benefits goaltenders. And I don't think there's going to be any offensive improvement from adding a guy like Barry Trotz over Bruce Cassidy. By the way, I deserve a fucking medal for getting through that without stumbling too much, because Drew is currently shuffling our faces around. Oh my god, and changing the sizes of our faces on the video.
I love how he put Chris closest to Milt Schmidt. This is definitely by age here. Not implying that you're going to die soon or anything, Chris, but I mean, Milt Schmidt has been gone for almost about 5 years now. R.I.P.
I think that Barry Trotz's time was coming to an end, though, regardless, because that
I mean, he has
team
been in
had
the league
made.
for 20 something years.
He took the Islanders to the playoffs, deep playoff runs too, year after year after year. And then for them to, kind of shift into a mess, due to their, he could only do so much with what the general manager gave him to work with. And I'm sorry, but people entering the nursing home and are not viable NHL players in this day and age.
I'm saving my good takes on Barry Trotz for a potential DTFR episode. So
No, you can share them on multiple
I have a
platforms.
conspiracy theory, and it relates to Vegas. And I'm just saying, it would be poetic if they hire Barry Trotz.
No, it would not. Who does that benefit?
They're not actually going to do it, but I'm saving that for potentially something I'm recording tomorrow. So that's what we call
but I do think that
equality tease.
I have a question. Bruce Cassidy's out of the picture, right? Okay. He's doesn't exist. Sorry.
I go back in time and hire Gerard Gallant.
No, I'm giving you two options.
So I
John
can't go back in time.
Tortorella or Barry Trotz.
Barry
to fix
Trotz.
this.
I'm going to say something controversial here. I would go John Tortorella.
Trotz. Tortorella used to be with the Bruins.
No, so
you're thinking Mike
I
Sullivan.
think I know what you're going to say.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
Tortorella has a good track record of turning teams around.
No,
when
it's
he
not even
jumps
that.
in the first.
Because the Flyers might be in on Tortorella, and that would be a disaster. He would go to Philly and be like, this is worse than Columbus was when I first got here. So I just think of Tortorella being a little bit more of a Bruins type of mold as a head coach. Would it be chaotic? Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about two of the potentially most chaotic options here. Barry Trotz plays the trap. John Tortorella plays one way or the highway. And that's the highway going out of town, specifically Columbus, because Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky both got out of there as fast as possible. But, I don't think Trotz would be the answer, whereas Torts would be more of a short-term fix. If there's anything left, rile them up, get them to do it, or exactly what you need to get rid of, and it would be head coach and players after a year or two.
I just don't think this team is a Stanley Cup caliber championship team anymore, or a deep playoff run team.
I kind of disagree. I mean, they went 7 games with a really good, tough team and had a really good regular season where they went through stretches where they were the best team in the league. I think
that is true.
I think it's tough to look around the league and go like, wow, how does any team beat Colorado, or how does any team beat Tampa Bay right now? And during the regular season, the Bruins beat Tampa Bay 4 times, or it was
Which is
3
all
out,
you
3 out of
need.
4 or whatever.
3. Should have been 4, but it was only 3.
Yeah, didn't they lose in overtime?
Something like that. Might be a shootout.
Yeah,
I should know this, but I will have you know that after Game 7, I just closed out of my notes and said, vacation time.
Yeah.
So you took a day off finally,
I did.
right?
I haven't taken more than 2 days off all season. So then I was like, I am taking the next entire month to just not look at any of this.
So I wouldn't say I fully disagree, Jess. If Patrice Bergeron doesn't come back, then you need a big splash of a move to make this team as good as it was last year. And
because you won't have a 1 or 2 center. So essentially, you need to go make a trade for at least a top 6 center.
So one of the things that I think we always forget to do is look back 2 years ago and say, okay, look at the moves that the Bruins made this past offseason. Did those moves make the team better or worse than they were the year before? And I mean, it's not necessarily about moves that were made, but you lose David Krejci, you lose Tuukka Rask. I think losing Tuukka Rask probably didn't have as much of an effect on the team as it might have with a team that wasn't as strong defensively. And I think both of the goaltenders did a pretty good job behind that defense. But losing your 2 center absolutely crushed them, especially in the playoffs. And
100%.
so now we're looking at like, all right, what do you do to make the team not worse than it was last year? And if you lose Patrice Bergeron, now we're looking at the scenario that you're putting forward, Jess. And if Patrice Bergeron comes back, the Bruins have to make a bunch of moves to open up the cap space there. Drew's up in the rafters.
Where he belongs, among his people.
I'm on the Jumbotron.
$15 for a beer.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Can I just ask, who you would trade for? Name any player. I don't know what the Winnipeg Jets are thinking.
That opens up a whole can of worms. Who would you trade for?
Who would you
name
trade
any
for
player?
anyone?
Okay, because this will make sense as soon as I make it
I think
coherent.
I know where you're going.
The Winnipeg Jets, there's a lot of talk, Pierre-Luc Dubois, what's his long-term status there? And if Barry Trotz gets hired by Winnipeg, is he the type of player, the right fit and all that? I wouldn't mind seeing Pierre-Luc Dubois in a Bruins uniform or someone of his nature as kind of a second line center with the potential that Bergeron retires. He's your temporary first line center until you're able to sign a guy like John Tavares in free agency. But, who are you going to have to give up to get someone like him? I will answer this first because why not? It might spark some interesting discussion, or you'll be like, absolutely not. Eric Hall is the guy instead. But Jake DeBrusk is your biggest blue chip right now, if he still has the request laying on Don Sweeney's desk. Trent Frederick is at that point where it's make or break. How much did he impress? How much do you think he could be the next Blake Wheeler, where you trade him and he does well and you are happy for him elsewhere, but he just couldn't get it done here?
That's literally like everyone they've drafted.
Well, so that's where that definitely opens a can of worms and people start talking about Ryan Donato, Danton Heinen, and a whole bunch of other players. But to that end, I say, yes, but things were different. They were contenders, and sometimes you have to kind of free yourself of that player in order to get what you need. And in the run up to 2019, they needed a guy like Charlie Coyle to fill out that top 9. And so it came at the price of a Ryan Donato, who has now found his footing with the Seattle Kraken a few years removed. But at the time, it made sense. And that's also just the price of sustained success, that you may lose a prospect that you would otherwise rather hold on to.
And that's just like the name of the game, I feel like. And I feel like I understand, like, you get attached to these players, especially like the young guys coming up. And
be a Jedi and remove all emotional attachment.
Yeah. A lot of us had that hope and that desire for Bjork to take that next step, and he just didn't do it. And I don't think he will, unfortunately.
How's Buffalo these days?
Cold.
Actually, a lot better since Jack Eichel got traded. But
yeah, right. But I just personally have, I don't know. I'm fine moving on from prospects and like these young guys who, like Trent Frederick, who they're a big body, but they're costing the team, a penalty and all that nonsense. And especially in the playoffs, like, that was so frustrating. I feel like he didn't do anything effective on the ice besides skate, if that.
And with that in mind, I do want to propose a few players that could really take over on the fourth line, because as much as Curtis Lazar has a mutual, I would love to be back here, and as much as I love him personally, I don't think Curtis Lazar is necessarily coming back. So that opens up a spot on the fourth line, and someone might say, oh, but Chris Wagner exists. But I would say
No.
Oscar Steen, he got 20 games this year. It might be worth it to just give him a full season. And at this point,
Give me third line Oscar Steen.
That's the ideal approach, is that he moves up, but you start him at least on the fourth line and say, like, this is your spot.
Drew hasn't talked this entire episode. Let's get Drew.
I've been doing all this technical stuff, and I
He's
feel like now I
dancing
have
on
to
the
post it on
Jumbotron.
YouTube in order to do anything. So I'll give myself the
Drew's sitting in your
spotlight
back seat,
right
so
now.
you're gonna want to look out for that.
I don't think Lazar is coming back, just from the standpoint of if you are resigning Bergie, you're resigning Bergie, and there's not much Bergie. Wow, Bergie.
Jess is now a floating blanket.
I think if you're signing Bergie, you're signing Bergie, and what else? What room are you creating? Because the Brew, they need something. They need to add something. If you're trading DeBrusque, sure, that frees up some cap and such.
Can I
but, like,
offer
Oh,
you
but
if
Sean
you end up-
Monahan?
Sure.
Can we heal him first? And then
Yeah, you're gonna
I would
eat
take that.
like
He's on-
admittedly.
$4 million
Look.
of his contract.
But I think the Bruins just really like recycle on that fourth line a lot. They find someone, they sign them, their contract ends. They're like, oh shit, we don't have a lot of cap space. We can't re-sign them. And then they find someone cheaper. And it's just over and over again. And like, that's good and all. It's like worked.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to
they've
do
had
with
the
bottom
depth,
six. Do not
but-
overspend there.
But if they obviously their prospect pool isn't great, but the guys that are there have the potential to be a fourth line guy, or maybe
The
in
next
that
Sean
bottom
Corrali,
six, like
if I
Oscar
may.
Steen. I wish Anton Bleed could have fucking made it, because I felt like he had the play style too, but he just didn't have the skill there enough to beat
that's
out
kind of
other
why
guys.
I'm not like itching for Trent Frederick to be out of here, because I think he's ideally a fourth liner. And if you give him not too many minutes and just kind of be like, hey man, stop taking stupid fucking penalties
stop
or else you're
messing
gonna
up.
be in Providence, then yeah, that's fine.
I think that's
So, I
fair.
mean, your other option is you go with Frederick, Mark McLaughlin, and Oscar Steen to start the year, and you say someone's going to rise from this.
What is, I was earlier today, excuse me, I was thinking about Bruins development and players that have been developing along like the same conversation. But what's going on with Jack Studnicka? I understand that he's still young, still working his way through the system, but he's had a few chances. Has he really broken do you think he's ready to take that jump?
No, so I think the problem with Jack Studnicka was that in the absence of any other real prospect, he kind of became the Bruins' number one prospect, or skating prospect at least. Swayman, obviously the top guy, but and I think just got like wildly hyped up by fans mostly.
He really got the Zach Senyshyn treatment, kind of.
Yeah,
he
Yeah.
played out of his mind in junior, and it's not that every player, plays out of their mind and then sucks, because he doesn't suck. It's just that you have to kind of temper your expectations a little bit,
Right.
because you're talking about a league out of 16 to 20-year-olds going to 20 and older in the AHL and
You are
18
old
and
enough
older
to
in
be
the
your
NHL.
dad.
Right? And it's just that much of a jump from standing out among high schoolers essentially to making the NHL, where, I mean, Joe Thornton's been in this league for how long?
Right.
There's so much more experience, and it's going to rub off on him somehow. I don't think that it made a lot of sense for them to really try him out as a number two this year. Should they maybe give him some more games? Absolutely. But I don't envision Jack Studnicka being the one to save this team, which is also a reason why you might try to move him at some point.
Lancey,
I have a little bit more
Just
faith
think
in
about
Mark
how many games Thornton would have been able to play if he hadn't
2005, 2006.
Well, if he hadn't taken all those years off to serve in World War II.
Right. I mean, there was quite a ruse going across the National Hockey League way back in the 1940s, where Tiny Thompson, Milt Schmidt, Woody Dumart, and Bobby Bauer all did their thing. No, anyway, I'm stalling because I'm waiting.
I would
to see
say I
what
didn't
Drew
mean to
would do
derail
next.
anything, but I definitely did mean to derail that.
You did, because ultimately, I'm fine with Studnicka taking his time. I don't think it's out of the ordinary if he's another year or two away from being somewhere in the NHL. I don't anticipate him being first or second line, but he could be a Sean Corrali, and that's just fine.
Drew has now made himself part of the advertisement
Now he's like the
scoreboard
rearview mirror
thing.
style.
We're just looking at Drew, and he's in the back seat. So you're gonna look out for that.
Great song by Arcade Fire. Not so great when it's Drew.
In terms of Studnicka, I totally agree that like by default he became the number one prospect for the Bruins, like you said, Chris, just because there was like no one else there. I think
You mean Trent Whitfield's not playing still?
His obstacle, I think a lot of it has been just like the management and coaching, which kind of loops the Sweeney, Neely, and Cassidy back into it. They get very few chances, these young players, to find something that's going to work. Like very few chances. Like they give them a couple games.
Kids, though.
He gives them a couple games, and then like they'll be lucky throughout those games to have the same line mates and start building chemistry and start carving out a spot in the lineup. Like it's tough. So I also think an obstacle for Studnicka is honestly just Bergeron being there. Not that he's like all of a sudden going to be the number one guy next to Marchand and maybe Pasternak, depending on what they do, but that moves people up the order. And honestly, that first line C is really up for grabs for me. If Bergeron's not in the equation, it's Coyle, Holla. If Studnicka fucking blows people away and has chemistry with like Pasternak or Marchand, you never know. But I think while Bergeron's there, Studnicka's not going to get a fair look because they want to keep him at center. He's their best center. The Bruins usually have a surplus of centers and then switch guys to the wing like Marshy. So I think they really want to keep him at C, but it's holding him back. They don't want to give him fourth line minutes in that fourth line role. They know he can do more, but he's just not, there's not a space open at the moment. And so it's been hard for them to wiggle him into a role where he could actually probably excel.
So what I got from this is that Jack Studnicka is the Anakin Skywalker, because he could just say he's holding me back, and you'd be like, what is this, episode 3?
I don't know anything about Star Wars, so sure.
If you really want to jazz things up, I feel like moving along with one of several players, add somebody who's like a decent player but has like a larger cap hit, and put that with Eric Holla and see if someone bites on that. And then you move Coyle up to 2C, and then Studnicka's your 3C if you're comfortable with that. I don't know if anyone is.
If you're comfortable with like retooling in that regard, then yes. That would be a team that if they make the playoffs, they're out in the first round. And if they don't make the playoffs, I mean, it's not a surprise.
I mean, that's in the event
is how next season is going to go anyway.
I hope Bergeron comes back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody does, but I think that like I don't like facing these hard hockey decisions, but no one does.
I mean, it's also just the course of time. It's what happens. The Bruins back in the 70s faced the question of, all right, how much longer do you want to hold on to Phil Esposito? He will start to age, even though he's an ageless wonder and still looks incredible in his 70s. But you ask that question where it just gets to be, okay, are we willing to admit that it's beyond the point of being able to salvage something here, and now it's a new era, and within that you have to go to the marketing team and say, can you make something out of these players real quick? No? Okay, well, we're going to trade some of these guys anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
you try not to pull a Sens and leave up a poster from like 5 years ago that still has someone like Erik Karlsson in it, and you go, what's that still doing here? But anyway.
But no, it's like when I mean, it was shortly.
Bye, Chris.
Oh, I'm not leaving. I'm just putting my hand in front of Lancey's face.
He's blocking me. I'm going to be a goalie.
Kat texted me that she's coming here to get me instead of me going there to get her. So I got 20 minutes.
Nice.
Surprise cat appearance.
Then we'll take another break for DraftKings. This is part 2, I would think, we're already in the middle of.
Yeah.
But on the other side, we're gonna do some DraftKings. So future Drew, take it over.
And let's do some listener questions after that.
And here we go. We got some listener questions. What did I say?
What?
1 second. What did I say? I thought I said I did listener questions.
I didn't hear you say that. I just said let's do some listener questions after the break. That wasn't going to be in the podcast. So I was just like, hey, I got a great idea. Let's do some listener questions.
So future Drew, take out everything Chris just said.
All I heard
leave
you
it in
say
there.
was
I mean, make
let's
it
do
spicy.
some DraftKings.
All right. Here we go.
Oh my God, it's a cat.
Question number
Drew,
one.
if you don't make a video out of this podcast,
Oh
I
yeah, it's
quit.
gonna be on YouTube. Question number one. Meow 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 meow. No, what's your favorite piece of hockey merch or collectible that you own? And that one is from Tommy Orton over the Atlantic.
Good, solid question. I got two, I guess. It would probably be strange if I didn't say the signed Bruins jersey I have. I have the all of last year's team signed jersey that my mom got me for Christmas. But another personal favorite is I have a Kenyan national team jersey with the captain's name on the back, Azagere, and my last name is in there somewhere, so that's kind of cool. It's a really sick jersey. You can go get those. You go to their website. I think it's the Friendship League. Yeah, it's like designed after the Kenyan flag, and it's pretty cool. It's got a lion on it.
That's sick.
Lions are dope,
Can confirm.
I must say.
I've got a few things that
He has a whole closet.
thing.
Everybody grab a snack.
So it's funny you mention it because I am holding my very first jersey in my hands. It's a Patrice Bergeron circa 2006 jersey, which I got when I was 11. And
if you hold it in front of yourself, maybe the camera will be able to see it.
I've tried, but it's
oh no.
you can barely see the bear that was on a painting that Terry O'Reilly or someone had. But anyway, it's the weird alternate logo bear with the white eyes, not the crazy one. But anyway, that means a lot to me because everyone loves the first jersey, right? And then I have the second jersey I ever got, which is a Joe Sakic jersey, because like Patrice Bergeron, I grew up a Joe Sakic fan, and I wanted that so bad for Christmas that when I walked down the stairs and saw it on the couch, I shrieked like a small child would. So those mean a lot. And then I have a few things that are signed by players like Tim Thomas, Sean Thornton, Nathan Horton, Adam McQuaid, my guy, Michael Ryder, and a hat that's signed by Patrice Bergeron, Rich Peverly. So that's always cool. But, it's the simple stuff like that.
Well, I'll try to get Chris so you can see. Oh, no, now everything's see-through. Okay, there we go.
That's sick. Anything else, Lancey?
I mean, the whole rest of my room is
Okay, great.
literally
Moving
gold
on.
and stuff. But
Drew, what's
Are we bobsledding right now? Everybody left.
Wait, like the other left?
My hockey merch would have to be
I feel like it's more.
I have a Pooh Bear kids sized Ray Bork jersey that is signed. So I would have to
That's
say
fun.
that is my favorite piece of merch. Absolutely.
I have nothing. Actually, no, that's a lie. I guess I have a Bruins signed hat from the 2018, 2019 team. Yeah. And then my signed Johnny Gaudreau puck. Because who doesn't love a good eBay purchase?
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
especially a guy that went to BC. Anyway, that's for the BU and BC people to fight about. I went to neither.
Next question. We have boxers or briefs from Bonzi. S. Bonzi. Good old
This
Sam.
is like when I get asked for a spoon or a fork and I say spork.
Boxers or briefs.
Boxers.
Boxer briefs exist for a reason here.
I
You
have
get the best of
boxer
both
briefs
worlds.
too, but if I have to lean towards one or another, it's briefs.
I'm boxers and boxer briefs. About
I
50-50
had
split.
boxers in like middle school.
I was
And
I was gonna
because
say
it was
I-
cool. It was for
I'll
gym
make a plug
class.
fair.
for like what
was
DJ
literally
Bean
for
has
gym
talked about
class.
before. Like you get to that age where you start to feel more like an adult and you switch from boxers to boxer briefs. And at some point maybe you go briefs. I don't know. It's it's very based on like how old are you and
Is
are you a
that
functioning
like-
adult?
Is this the male equivalent of going from like a training bra to the big girl bra?
I don't think so.
Okay, I wasn't not in like
No.
terms of sizing,
It's just
but like
it's
stepping
a
into adulthood.
personal
New-
preference of
Okay.
like support.
Oh, now he
And I
is
mean,
the
like,
banner in the
How
raft.
active are you? Are you going to the gym and are you not going to the gym?
Okay.
That sort of thing.
Okay, well, nice. Okay,
Are you
next-
trying to make the black flag?
Chris, you gotta shift. Wait, no, you could be this side of the face. No, go back to how you were.
oh no.
There you go.
It's gonna be a video only podcast.
So what was the next question? Any free agents realistically fit for the bees? And then some that was from Sean Rajat. And then
Oh, we love Sean.
Spencer Damphouse says
Damphus, I believe.
oh
Don't
Damphus.
disrespect Vincent Damphus.
Or is the
Damphus
PH of
that way?
Damphus. This Patrice Bergeron fella, and that's about it. That's what he said. And I say I agree. He's the most realistic fit for the Bruins.
I mean, this Bergeron kid, he sounds like he's a pretty good player.
Dude, I heard they got him in the second round. That's nuts. Why isn't Senyshyn 10 times better than him?
Yeah, I don't know if there are
Next-
any like realistic UFAs that are like fun, exciting ones that people are gonna want. Like I feel like people are gonna look at the free agent list and be like, oh man, there are so many like good players out here that the Bruins should be signing. And no, the Bruins have zero cap space, so they're gonna probably make some trades.
I mean, there's Evgeny Malkin, but he's going to want like $10 million. So no.
Yeah,
Claude
want
Giroux will be
Malkin.
available.
People
That-
want
So if
Kadri,
you want a
I-
temporary second line center,
I love the idea of Kadri. I think he and Marchand on a line together would be fucking hilarious.
That'd be incredible.
you know who
stick-
they should get?
Stick Trent Frederick on the other wing, like that'd be perfect.
Louis Eriksson, the return
Yeah.
of the king. Paul Stastny will be available. That's again, if we're thinking short-term temporary solutions, if the Armageddon occurs and Patrice Bergeron retires, and you can't make a trade, I mean, sign Paul Stastny.
Yeah, it's just the thing is like McAvoy's deal kicks in. He's making like $9.5 million. Even without Bergeron re-signing, the Bruins have $2 million in cap space. So
It's not as bad as it could be, however.
yeah. So I think the ideal is you look at, you know, who are the movable pieces, and like Matt Grzelcyk is somebody that people are going to want. I think he and Mike Riley have a similar skill set. Obviously, I think Matt Grzelcyk's a better player, but if you want to, you know, move some redundant parts, then I think you'd be able to fetch something for Matt Grzelcyk, and he's making 4 or something. And Jake DeBrusk, that's 4-ish, 4.125 million or whatever. He wants out, so I don't know if you're going to get a whole lot for him. You'd probably have to take a little bit of that salary back, but that's some salary you can move out. But I don't know if that gets you somewhere where you can make a big free agent signing. I think that gets you somewhere where you can re-sign Patrice Bergeron if he wants to come back.
That's a big free agent signing, I think. That's about as big as it's going to get.
The best signing in free agency is all of our health players return to full health.
Yeah.
like at the trade deadline.
I still haven't like processed that Hampus Lindholm is here for the next 8 years.
So
It's gonna be sick.
You know how much Chris
He's
loves
gonna be sick.
Mike Riley. I love Hampus Lindholm. I'm not saying he's the next Zdeno Chara, but I am saying I would rather have a certified top 2 for now, maybe top 4, the second half of the deal type of defender, given the way that he lets Charlie McAvoy play and how it really solidifies the future of the core that you already have. I mean, the old core has already been gone. Like there's Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand. I don't think you can consider that a core. I think you consider that 2 old players on your team, and Marchand's not even that old. But the new core, Lindholm, McAvoy, you can build something with that. If you have Riley as your second pairing defender, that's great. Carlo's another guy that you might consider to make expendable. But I like the direction that the defense has been heading in. It's the forwards that need to be overhauled.
Yeah, it's I would add Zaboral. That signing kind of makes, shores up the left side. If you believe that he's going to be back and fully healthy and kind of
a complete 180 from his first full year to his second year, which was unfortunately cut short by a torn ACL.
Yeah, I'll co-sign everything you said about Lindholm with a big asterisk that says when healthy.
Yeah, that's my.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like his start here was kind of tainted. Like obviously not his own fault, but I do think that fans have a short-term memory and they do like to cling to the negativity. I must say, the biggest difference about covering the Flames over the Bruins is how like rational they are.
Relatively calm the fans are.
They're calm.
It's almost like they know things about hockey.
It's mind-blowing. Like I'm over here telling them to pack it up and walk back to Calgary, and these people are like, no, it's okay. Like there's still more hockey to play.
There's still more hockey to play. It's the Flames. They've done this every year.
I can't.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. They're too rational. But I always love talking about my Bruins.
Next question. What jersey would you like to see the Bees wear for the upcoming Winter Classic? Cheers from K. Rafter.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but our guy Sean, the one that we've already talked about with the question earlier, and we're working on a concept. This is also my way of saying, Sean, I'm sorry I haven't written in like a week or two, but I'm going to send some ideas probably this weekend. I know a lot of people really love what I call the second logo. It's really from the late 20s to early 30s. You might recognize it from the 1929 Stanley Cup champion banner in the Garden.
I was there.
Right? Chris is as old as they are as a team. And no, it's a little bit of that. I think that would be the best logo to go with this time around. But I don't really want to see that jersey. I have an idea of a nice spin on kind of one of the first alternates, if you consider it that. It was a solid block of gold with a little bit of black from 1940 to 44, and it just said Bruins on the front. It would be kind of weird, but it also, to me, it seems a bit more fitting for Fenway as a venue to either go with that or with the second logo and to really just like invert the colors. So you'll see what I mean when we get a concept out there. And I think this time around they should go brown, because we saw the element of brown in 2010 and we liked it, but it was primarily gold jersey, which we saw another gold jersey outdoors, coincidentally, thanks to the reverse retro program at Lake Tahoe. And then we saw the brown stripes on the primarily white jersey in 2019. And all three of those jerseys did better than the 2016 jersey, which was based on the very first jersey, but changed from brown to black. So Therefore, if you want to win this game, you have Brown somewhere in the jersey. You kind of throw it back to the first national stores themselves, or Brookside, or whatever it was called, because Charles Adams went through a couple different iterations of his grocery chain. But you do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think you just do something different. I don't want to see a jersey that the Bruins have already worn before.
Yeah.
I wanna see something new using concepts from the past, and I think you went over that pretty well, Nancy.
That's what I try to do.
I'm trying to show this because this is what I want.
I have
Yeah.
made a Penguins concept, by
Yeah,
the
Drew,
way.
we got you.
It's a little
Yeah.
bit more plain.
Thank you,
It's
Drew.
Red Sox.
Yeah,
It's Red Sox.
you did a great job, Drew.
Yeah.
Drew wants them all to wear Kike Hernandez jerseys.
That
and
or
hit
some take on the Pooh
blast
Bear
over the
though. I
monster.
feel like the Pooh Bear isn't. I feel like the Pooh Bear isn't classic enough.
No, because it's going to be reverse retro 2.0. So
Oh, there
got
you
that
go.
taken care
You
of.
know what? They're gonna make a bunch of different jerseys. Oh, has everyone gone while I was fooling around with my jersey? Or
I don't think
no,
Jess
you're the
has.
second
I
one.
have
Okay.
no opinion.
I'm the second one.
Literally-
Great.
Literally just hire like the kid who does the Riveters. I think his name's Justin Cox. I could be very wrong, but he's an Avalanche fan and has some fantastic concepts and even real jerseys that he's brought to life. And just hire him or hire Joe Dabney because she is an icon and could probably do something better than anyone that's hired by the Bruins right now. Sorry.
And Chris is on the phone.
Chris is getting inside information about this.
Yeah,
jersey.
yeah. He's
You can make
just
up what
making
he's
some
saying out
calls. He's making some calls. He's hitting up.
Per source,
Neely.
Chris is talking about exchanging money for a jersey and or hot dogs and or something. I don't know. Like what's
This is
popular
like-
Fenway these days?
I wouldn't know. This is like when Bob McKenzie would get a phone
We have a
call.
breaking
Free
trade.
agency frenzy nonsense. I miss Uncle Bob.
Bobby Margarita. He's got a line of margaritas now in Canada. That's
Yeah, in Canada.
sounds like a good reason to go visit Canada sometime.
Chris,
Yeah.
any takes on the jerseys, or did you give yours?
I already
I'm
gave
all-
mine.
I'm
I basically co-signed on Lancey's. I just want something different than what they've done before. Were you putting Jess on my hat? Is that what you were trying
Yeah,
to do?
yeah. She's
I'm-
the
you're wearing
Celtics.
She is now the
logo.
Boston
Name's
Celtics.
Yeah.
Boston Calgary Flames Celtics.
It's a Christmas Flames hat.
Yeah.
Last question before we end, and now this is going to be a one-word answer for everybody. I don't want any explanation. I just want your one-word answer. Bergeron from Aiden Halloran. Bergeron, retirement or extension?
Sexy.
Nailed it.
I say
That's 2 words.
extension.
I didn't hear any of the questions.
No, you
were
have to
broken.
say retirement or extension for Bergeron. One of those words. Extension.
Okay, extension.
Rection, but you spell it like Mark Recchi. So he starts doing 1-year deals.
That wasn't one word.
I know, but I'm trying to create something that's creative.
Yeah, I went with sexy.
Yeah, I don't think.
Great. Well, this has been a great episode of the Brews Bruins.
Drew trying to
podcast.
make rules that doesn't count as.
We
I mean,
are
Drew comes
here-
on my show and doesn't play by the rules. I don't have to play by the rules on Drew's show.
Here we go. Are you?
I
are
was
you all
hoping
ready?
Cam would be here so I could show him, well, my Old Bay goldfish. Because
Oh damn!
At least it's not that Old Bay vodka that I saw. trending
no,
on
and
Twitter
they're
the
coming
other
out
day.
with an Old Bay like beer,
Right?
like a summer ale. I'm all set. Thank you so much. Goldfish will do.
For
Oh my god.
everybody out
match.
there, thank you to everyone here. We have Jess Pelmosto. We have Nick Liziani. Da, 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 da. We have Chris Gear. Da, 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 da. And I am Drew Johnson. If I can click on myself. There we go. I'm Drew Johnson. Thank you, everybody, for all that you do in the world. Thanks. Bye.